This is Marley K. Hope everybody is doing well. Hopefully, this video works this time. I have tried to record this thing like 5, 6 times, and I'm going to try to do a very long video so I can cover all the stories that I wanted to do instead of doing a bunch of short stories, short videos. So, all these stories are tied to politics and current events, which are also associated with biblical prophecy. Um, but there are things that we need to keep on our radar because we need to keep watch of the activities that are going on. So this first story is about Code 45 withdrawing from the World Health Organization, which I was excited about it because we've been monitoring this for a couple of years, um, and I just kind of felt like there was some chicanery afoot, and I just started doing some research, and of course there is. So do not, and I repeat, do not get excited because America is attempting to withdraw from the World Health Organization. I'm going to read you this story that is in the Foreign Policy magazine to help you get some understanding. I'm going to read it through its entirety because to me this story is really important because it's tied to the climate emergency, it's tied to the any type of future outbreaks that could cause a global pandemic of declaration, and then a national medical emergency or whatever national emergency that could give the president emergency powers. Um, and it's also tied to this digitalization that is happening with the digital IDs, digital wallets, digital medical records. A lot of digitalization is happening all over the planet. A lot of data centers are being built here in America. I don't know if you heard about Stargate. And then Code 45 is proposing to fast track a uh, cancer lollipop with the um, mRNA technology in it. And I don't know if y'all have been hearing about some of these other trials that they've been having with this stuff, but it's really scary time. So I'm gonna keep an eye on this particular story. So I'm gonna share it with you. The WHO withdrawal could be a disaster or an opportunity. Trump's attempt to leave may clear the way for global health diplomacy. And this story was written by Matthew M. Kavanaugh, director of the Center for Global Health Policy and Politics at Georgetown University's O'Neill Institute and School of Health, and an assistant professor of global health and visiting professor of law. So, if y'all know anything about Georgetown University, it's a pipeline for the powers. So, I don't take this story with the I take it seriously because it's speaking about something that we need to pay attention to. It's not talking to us because most people, especially black people, do not read Foreign Policy magazine. They don't care about foreign policy. And so I'm talking about this because it's rooted in what's going to happen to us. Because at the end of the day, everything that's going on the planet is about us. It's about good and evil. It's about first and last. It's about Esau and Jacob. So we're going to get into it. So U.S. President Donald Trump announced his intention to withdraw the United States from the World Health Organization, renewing an effort begun in 2020, excuse me, 2020, but blocked after the election of Joe Biden. Trump's decision invites two questions. First, has the United States actually legally quit WHO? And second, are other actors powerless to prevent the country's withdrawal, or if it occurs, shape how it affects global cooperation on health? On both fronts, the answer is no. Trump's executive order is only the beginning of a complex legal and geopolitical struggle that could have unanticipated global effects. So, as you can see, a lot of these executive orders are nothing but it's nothing but showboating because they don't have any teeth. Now, you can sign an executive order and have people excited, but when it comes to the actual detangling or decoupling, it doesn't happen so quickly. So as long as we're still a member of this body, we are forced to adhere to these agreements. And we talked about how once these nations signed on to this stuff, you couldn't back out of it. That was one of the concerns about the whole treaty that was signed. The United States helped who helped create WHO in 1948, not out of altruism, but because it understood the overwhelming benefit WHO could provide to the country. Upon joining, President Harry Truman declared it was in hopes international cooperation spares us the haunting fear of devastating epidemics. Since that time, WHO has had significant successes such as smallpox eradication, as well as failures like the early response to AIDS in the 1990s, learning from each. So y'all know in the 1990s who was over the response to AIDS, and that was Dr. Fauci. Um, Lots of information out there about him and this virus that was taken from animals in Africa and then spread allegedly amongst people in certain populations. Now that virus is all up and through black people, which was the goal. The goal was to give it to us so it would eradicate us, but it didn't work because we got a good God. But um, it is still very prevalent in the black community, and that is not by accident. So take hints, good people. But it has unquestionably provided a range of public goods the United States and other countries depend on, from information on transnational spread of dangerous viruses that they be going and getting their damn self and putting in labs and messing with, to the scientific collaboration needed for each year's seasonal flu vaccine. Oh God. To space to negotiate with allies and adversaries alike over key health issues. To space. What? Space. To space. Oh, I guess it's not space, but room space. While Trump's executive order seems designed to pick fights with China on territory that is far less perilous than other areas of security policy, who has ironically created a conduit for collaboration. The United States leverages data from China's contributions to WHO influenza centers for its vaccine development, while WHO supported U.S. China collaboration on HIV and AIDS. Notice the same collaboration happened with the bird flu. Same person was responsible. Y'all gonna see the connection now. Start doing your own research. That's all I'm gonna say. The person just got a pardon. We're gonna get to that story later. The executive order instructs the Secretary of State and the Director of the Office of Management and Budget to somehow replace WHO with credible and transparent United States and international partners. So we're not getting rid of that. What we're doing is changing the model, changing it from these people to these people. So it's not going away. So don't be all hyped up about it. They will likely find this to be an impossible task, not least because everyone else is already an active member of WHO. After all, it was only as part of a WHO mission that US scientists got even limited access to information on the COVID-19 epidemic in Wuhan, China. Substituting bilateral efforts may work with close allies, but in a multipolar world, rivals and competitors around the world are unlikely to share virus samples, open their pharmaceutical markets, or announce outbreaks to a U.S. agency directly. The very point of WHO is that it reduces transaction cost and enables trust building for difficult relationships. Man, most people ain't hardly never leaving out the country. And, you know, I just, I don't know. I don't know. Shut up. And the cost to the United States is minimal. The assessed contribution of $260 million is around only 0.7% of the U.S. federal health and human services budget for 2024 2025. Don't nobody want that. Why we gotta pay for it? Nobody didn't ask me if I wanted to be a part of that. I don't want to be a part. I feel like we should spend our own money. We got our own organizations right here. If the government got public health services and then you're gonna go pay somebody else to do the same thing, what is even the point? What is the point? Except for you got to control everything. In line with the U.S. GDP despite the Trump administration's complaint. So you see how they compare this money to gross domestic product, like they include it as a business or industry. So I want y'all to keep that in mind. The United States, however, voluntarily contributes far more than its assessed contribution because it sees value in a wide variety of WHO programs, from polio eradication and pandemic response to pharmaceutical regulatory capacity building and mental health services for victims of torture. But the United States actually withdrawn, but has the United States actually withdrawn from WHO? Not yet. Despite Trump's order, it will not be simple to do so. In 1948, a joint resolution from Congress authorized Truman to accept membership in the world's new multilateral health organization. So they've been planning this for a long time. Since whose constitution made no provision for withdrawal, oh, how convenient. Congress made it a condition of U.S. entry that it could withdraw, but also required a 1 year notice and that the United States' financial obligations to the organization must be met in full. The World Health Assembly recognized the decision and accepted the conditions unanimously. So, with that said, y'all should be expecting a declaration of some sort and some type of medical catastrophe to come within the next year. I'm just saying. So, to start, the United States must pay its dues, which it has not done yet for 2024 or 2025. But Trump's executive order explicitly orders that the U.S. government pause all funding transfers to WHO. Unless rescinded, this prevents the United States from legally withdrawing. It also may quickly run afoul of U.S. law on impoundment. So, in order to get out, you got to pay to get out. And so since this is done, it looks like it's another one of those little stupid things. Like uh, it's any like any other type of business contract. If you want to end it, they charge you to get out of it. So it's that type of thing. So why not just pay the money? Y'all pay money for other stupid stuff. Why not pay for this to get out of it and leave us alone? And just we don't want nothing else, just pay to get out of it. But they're not going to do that because that's not the goal. Whatever they're getting ready to do new, they have to do something new because people have awakened to the fact that the last thing was real bad and they don't trust this system, they don't trust these people, and they don't trust that these bodies, these international bodies. So, and when I say them, I'm talking about children of the corn them, because they don't care nothing about us. Our people ain't paying no attention. We're gonna run and take the stuff like it's Kool-Aid. While the original act of Congress made no mention of which branch of government would have the authority to withdraw from who, legal scholar Harold Hongju Ko has argued that the president does not have the power to unilaterally withdraw the United States from international legal agreements like the one through which it joined who. Having entered through a joint resolution from Congress, his analysis suggests it must be on Congress to effect withdrawal. Politically, there is little chance the Republican-led U.S. Congress will challenge on this. Indeed, last year the House Appropriations Committee sought to enact its own ban on WHO funding, but the GOP margin is razor thin, and there are many U.S. political actors with standing members of Congress, private entities, and perhaps states or localities negatively affected who could challenge this withdrawal over the next year and potentially drag the process out far longer. So that's something else that you got to worry about. These these other individuals who are globalists and who are tied to the beast system that you don't necessarily know about could also in the background be playing a role in this shenanigans. So it says, would U.S. withdrawal be a disaster for who? On the surface level, of course, losing the funding and political support from the world's most powerful country is an unequivocal blow. Whose ability to support the fight against AIDS and polio, for instance, will be badly undermined? Well, they've been fighting all this damn time. They ain't found nothing yet. Shoot. AIDS been around since the 90s. There ain't nobody trying to find no cure. No cure. They too busy creating other sorcery. Whose ability to support the fight against AIDS and polio, for instance, will be badly undermined, as will its emergency response capacity, where the United States provides an outsized portion of the funding available. The legitimacy of the organization would also take a hit. If the United States sought to invest in parallel efforts or organizations, this could threaten WHO's authority and power within an increasingly complex global health governance ecosystem. Now, I'm going to tell y'all what I think. Put my tinfoil hat on. I think it was a Chinese man supposed to take over this organization. I think Tedros, Dr. Ted Tedros, or whatever his name is, he's leaving. And this other guy's coming in from China. Well, if they decide to shift stuff and change the sorcery market where they're going to be the biggest beneficiaries financially, then it's in Babylon's best interest to create something new, so that because they can use the name recognition um, and the pseudo trust that they've built up, they can create something else, still corner the market, make money from all these different countries. So, like, I don't really know what the end game is, but I do know that some guy from China, I think, is supposed to be taking over the World Health Organization. I don't know if it's this year, sometime, whenever the term is up. I know Tedros is supposed to be gone. So that could be why this is happening too. It's a money power move. Don't have nothing to do with our benefit at all. No, as you can see, nobody asked, did we? There's not one conversation about whether or not the people wanted it. They talked to the people. Ain't nobody talked to the people. There's no feedback about the people whatsoever. They say they're doing the best thing for us, but they're not doing anything to ask us, if it's something that we want. So just pay attention to that dynamic, how the people that they're supposed to be helping are completely excluded from the process. They're doing the best thing for the people, but the people don't have a seat at the table. So, anyway, the Biden administration often led within WHO. According to one report, two-thirds of recommended U.S. reforms have been adopted. But there could also be upsides, at least compared to alternatives. Trump has assailed WHO for being unable to demonstrate independence from the inappropriate political influence of WHO member states, a unattainable hope for an organization governed by member states. Ironically, though, the United States exercises the most political influence among member states by far. This is not without challenges for the organization. Case in point, the pandemic treaty. For the last 2.5 years, governments have been meeting through WHO's intergovernmental negotiating body to hammer out an international agreement on countries' obligations to prevent and respond to pandemics. The basic political tension has been clear from the outset. High income countries prioritize more information sharing, but low and middle income countries want sharing of technology, vaccines, medicines, and funding. Meaningful agreement could be possible if all sides could agree on a compromise on both these fronts. But as of last December, a deal still seemed far off. The United States, after initial skepticism, has been deeply involved in many areas of the negotiations, and it reportedly advanced agreements on key issues such as data sharing. On the other hand, the United States' positions on more equitable access to pandemic technologies like vaccines has been a major barrier to agreement. The United States has reportedly taken hard lines and watered down text, seeking to protect the interest of its massive domestic pharmaceutical industry. Meanwhile, major uncertainty over the form of the pandemic treaty has been driven by concerns over U.S. laws and politics. Originally, the treaty was intended to fall under Article 19 of WHO's Constitution, allowing for legally binding measures on a wide range of issues affecting health. However, the United States government opposed, concerned its political hurdles would prevent ratification. Negotiators on all sides have been highly attuned to how U.S. politics could torpedo the effort. Indeed, the U.S. opposition to calling it a treaty have led to 2 years of draft text that have labeled it vaguely as a convention, agreement, or other international instrument. Through the last month, it was still not clear if the treaty would revert to being regulations under Article 21, which could require a narrower scope but allow an opt out approach. Um, in the context of consensus based negotiations, the prospect of a Trump administration led U.S. WHO delegation appeared likely to kill the treaty. But now Trump's executive order has put speculation to bed, declaring the Secretary of State will cease negotiations on the WHO pandemic agreement, and actions taken to effectuate such agreement and amendments will have no binding force on the United States. In this context, perhaps negotiators can get more ambitious. Of course, the United States is not the only opponent of key equity focused measures favored by the Global South, which have also been blocked by the European Union and others. But perhaps moving a major player with strong red lines off the board will strengthen the hand of the Africa group, the group of equity composed of countries from Latin America, Africa, and South and Southeast Asia, and other negotiating blocs, meaning a breakthrough can be found. If Washington's absence creates space for more democratic governance, particularly with greater power from historically less powerful regions like Africa and the Caribbean, it could create a better WHO. It's also possible that the U.S. opposition could actually spark a commitment to shoring up WHO, and maybe even a consolidation behind whose political leadership amid a famously fractured global health governance ecosystem in which the organization has often struggled. But the U.S. absence could also have the opposite effect, maybe strengthening the disruption and a breakdown of cooperation in the absence of semi hegemonic power, a state that Russia has seemingly embraced in recent years. It will almost certainly strengthen Beijing's power within WHO, and it could lead to an even greater splintering of health governance globally if alternatives to WHO gain traction and private actors become even more powerful. And that's what I think is going to happen. I think that the computer guy who knows all things, this Stargate AI project that they're getting ready to do, that's touting a cancer cure and other stuff. It's just it's a lot of corporate business stuff that's going on right now, and it is really dangerous for all of us. Nobody has the interest of the people. It's all about power and money, and nations are jockeying for positions or to just get from under the thumb of um, these kings, these Western kings. The impact of a WHO withdrawal is not clear yet, nor is it certain that the United States will actually leave. Supporters of effective global health would be wise in this rapidly evolving context to both pay close attention and to build toward the possible best case scenarios by bolstering the WHO's position in the face of a coming power vacuum. This post is part of Foreign Policy's ongoing coverage of the Trump administration. So I just want to share this particular story, and I think this video has been long enough. So I'm just going to do another video for the other topics that I need to do that are associated with politics. But I wanted to share this because I didn't want anybody to get all excited about, oh yeah, we leaving who and that's the end. No, it's a different wing of the same dirty bird. Bird is dirty. The other wing done flew off, it's gone. This wing right here is about to take off. But the goal is still the same. The final destination is still the same. And, like I always said, these people have jobs to do. So people have awakened and they got all these different plans that they got for just in case they wake up. We're going to pivot and go this direction, and we're going to use this person, and they're going to say all these things, and we're going to dust off the old game and put some new stuff out there so people can be distracted by and keep on pushing. Like that's what's happening. So do not get caught up in the fact that Code 45 is issuing all these executive orders, because a lot of them at the end of the day are probably not going to mean anything. And if they do cancel something, it's because there's a plan B and a redirect that is happening, and they're not going to tell you about it until it's too late. Or they'll tell you about it after they already got the plan B in place, but it's just an alternative that is going to be beneficial for the players. Um, just remember, America is a business now. It's a corporate business like Target and Walmart and Kentucky Fried Chicken, uh, Nike, just like that. Nothing we can do about it except for try to avoid being, you know, in in the fray. Just pay attention to what's happening, because they're gonna make like Code 45 is doing so good and he's saving the world. He ain't doing nothing but the same thing Papa was doing, except for he's pivoting and doing it a different way. He's making it seem like he's fixing things that people didn't like about the Biden Harris administration, and then he's putting his own footprint on it and redirecting us in another way or pivoting us another way, but we're still going in the same direction. Um, Different road, same direction, same end result. So um, just be wise as a serpent. Do not get excited and think that this man is going to do something for y'all. All these kings, they the same. That's why you need to be set apart, come out of this system, and understand you ain't got no friends. All right, y'all. This is Marla K. Love y'all, and I'm out.